Welcome back to the deep dive. You're here, like us, because you want to go beyond the surface, really get into the substance.
Exactly.
And today, we're zoning in on a really potent passage from the Quran, Surah Al-Baqarah, verses 19 through 25.
It's a fascinating set of verses. And what really stands out is how they um, vividly contrast the confusion of, well, disbelief with the certainty that faith can bring.
Right, leading up to this promise of paradise.
Precisely. So think of this as our journey through these verses today. We'll unpack the imagery, the deeper lessons embedded within them.
Okay, let's jump right in then. Verse 19. The picture it paints is, wow, really striking. Someone lights a fire, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just as it lights everything up, poof, the light's gone. They're left in total darkness.
And not just darkness, but with thunder, lightning, terrifying sounds.
So when we encounter this image, what's the key takeaway? What should we be thinking?
Well, the interpretation often points towards those who, catch a glimpse of the truth. They recognize it for a moment.
Like the fire lighting things up.
Exactly like that initial light. But then they choose to turn away. They reject it. And that darkness isn't just absence of light. It represents the confusion, the sort of spiritual disorientation that follows when you reject something you recognized as true.
That really makes you think about, well, maybe people you've known. You see someone seem so close to understanding something new, a new belief maybe.
Right, on the verge.
And then they just veer off onto a completely different track. So what's the message for us in that when we encounter guidance?
It's a powerful reminder, really, when you have that moment of clarity, that flash of insight from the guidance.
The light.
Yes, the light. The verse implies it's crucial to actively hold on to it, through consistent practice, prayer, gratitude, turning that understanding into action.
So those things become like anchors.
Exactly. Anchors that keep the light from just being, well, snuffed out. It underlines the importance of acting on guidance, not just acknowledging it passively.
Okay, that flows really nicely into the next verses, 20 and 21. They seem to build right on this.
They do.
Verse 20 talks about lightning, almost snatching away their sight. Every time it flashes, they walk a bit, but when it goes dark again, they're just stuck, frozen.
Unable to move forward or backward.
That feeling of being stuck, that indecision, I think a lot of us can relate to that feeling sometimes.
Oh, absolutely. It's a very relatable image, isn't it? The lightning here could be those fleeting moments of clarity that might still flicker.
Even after turning away initially.
Perhaps. Maybe a pang of conscience, a brief memory of that initial truth, a little spark of curiosity. But the key is the lack of sustained commitment. So when the darkness comes back, the doubts, the challenges, without that steady commitment, they're paralyzed. They can't move forward on the path, but they can't really go back either.
It's just frozen.
Yeah.
And then verse 21 feels like the answer to that paralysis. It's a direct call, isn't it? Oh, mankind, worship your Lord, who created you and those before you, that you may become righteous. Yes, very direct instruction. So how does this act of worship, how does that become the anchor? How does it stop that feeling of being frozen?
Well, the connection made there between worship and becoming righteous is key. Think about worship prayer, charity, repentance, reflection. These aren't just rituals. They're seen as active ways to constantly strengthen your connection to that truth, to the divine. They provide that steady light, that inner strength.
So it helps you navigate the dark patches, the doubts.
Exactly. It prevents you from being completely overwhelmed by that darkness of doubt or indecision we saw in the previous verse. It's about actively feeding that initial spark, keeping it alive.
Okay, so we've gone from the sort of chaos of rejecting truth and the paralysis of indecision
Right.
to verses 22 through 24. And here there's a clear choice being presented and quite a challenge, too.
A very significant challenge.
Verse 22 first, though. It describes the earth as this resting place, a place of settlement, and the sky like a canopy overhead. Simple descriptions, but presented as signs. Why these particular signs?
If you think about it, these are fundamental aspects of our existence, right? The verse uses them to prompt reflection. Look at the earth, perfectly set up for life. Look at the sky, protecting us.
Like evidence.
Exactly. Presented as tangible evidence of order, design, purpose. It's an invitation to use your reason, your observation, to see the wisdom and power behind creation. It kind of sets the stage for what comes next.
Which is the challenge. Verses 23 and 24, it's incredibly direct. Doubters are challenged to produce even one chapter like the Quran.
A single surah like it.
And this is presented as this, well, mind-blowing reality. The Quran itself is a unique miracle, something humans just can't replicate.
Right. And it's important to understand this challenge isn't just about, say, the beauty of the Arabic language, though that's part of it.
There's more to it.
Oh, yes. It's also about the consistency of its message, the depth of its wisdom, its legal principles, its prophecies, its scientific insights that people are still exploring, and its historical impact.
So the claim is that no human effort has ever matched it on all those levels.
That's the assertion. The inability to meet this challenge over centuries is presented as strong proof of its divine origin.
So for a believer, someone who already accepts the Quran, this challenge acts as what? Like a reinforcement?
Precisely. It becomes a source of certainty, a confirmation of their faith. It addresses potential doubts head on.
And for someone questioning,
It's an open invitation. Examine it. Compare it. Consider the implications if this challenge truly cannot be met. And of course, the verses also mention the consequence for denial, the warning of the fire, prepared for those who reject the truth.
following that really intense challenge and warning, verse 25 brings a total shift. It's all about the reward.
Yes, the good news, as it says, for those who believe and do righteous deeds.
And the imagery is just beautiful. Gardens with rivers flowing beneath. Can you help us really picture that?
Imagine. Well, try to imagine gardens unlike any earthly garden. Perfect peace, serenity. The flowing rivers are often interpreted as symbolizing continuous, unending blessings, peace, abundance.
A complete contrast to the storm and darkness earlier.
Absolutely. Constant sustenance, constant tranquility, no interruption.
And it mentions the fruits they'll receive. They'll apparently say something like, hey, this looks like what we had before.
But it is brought to them in likeness. Yes.
But it's infinitely better, right? Like perfected, familiar, yet beyond compare. That's a really interesting idea.
It is. It suggests comfort, recognition, a sense of belonging, like coming home, but to a home that's been perfected beyond imagination.
A perfected homecoming. I like that.
It taps into that deep human longing for something better, something complete. And then it mentions pure companions, too.
Right. Adding to this idea of perfect harmony, perfect relationships.
An existence completely free from the flaws and difficulties we know here, eternal abiding in that state.
So this vision of paradise, this homecoming, this reward that's beyond our dreams, it's meant to fuel hope, isn't it?
Definitely. Especially coming right after the verses about the struggle, the challenge, the consequences of disbelief.
So what's the main message of this verse, tying it all together?
I think after showing the potential pitfalls, the confusion of rejecting truth, this verse provides the ultimate motivation. It says, look, the path of faith and good deeds, even if it has challenges, it leads somewhere truly magnificent. It underscores that the struggles are worth it, that there's this incredible reality waiting, a reward that really we can only glimpse.
So let's try and bring this together for everyone listening. These verses, 19 to 25, they really do map out a journey, don't they?
They absolutely do.
Starting with disbelief as the state of being lost, confused, like being caught in a dark storm.
Right. That's verses 19 and 20.
Then faith emerges as the path to clarity, prompting action, and it's backed up by signs in creation and the unique nature of the Quran itself.
That's the call to worship in 21 and the signs and challenge in 22 to 24.
And finally, the destination for those who follow that path of faith and good action, this unimaginable paradise, verse 25.
A paradise of peace, abundance, and perfect companionship.
So maybe a final thought for you, our listener, to reflect on personally.
Yeah, this is important. Think about the images we've discussed. Which one really struck a chord with you?
Was it that intense imagery of the storm, the darkness, the lightning?
Or maybe the intellectual force of the challenge produced something like it?
Or perhaps it was the serene, hopeful vision of the gardens, the rivers, the fruits.
And then take it a step further. Why? Why did that particular image resonate with you right now? Thinking about that. Well, it can offer some really interesting insights into your own perspective, your own journey.
Absolutely. It's definitely worth pondering. We really encourage you to spend some more time with these verses, explore their meanings further.
There's always more depth to uncover.
Indeed. Well, thank you for joining us for this deep dive today. We hope it's given you some valuable insights and maybe sparked some meaningful reflection.